Welcome to the holiday edition of Laguna Woods Stories, and we're very fortunate to have Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, to introduce our show today. Rudolph, what brings you to Laguna Woods?
Well, first I want to say I'm so happy. I'm hoofing happy to be here, Tom.
Hoofing happy.
Hoofing happy.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but reindeer migrate, and some of my relatives live down here in Laguna Beach up in the hills, and we like to come every fall and visit them before the big season for the holidays. And one of our favorite spots is we love to go to Aliso Creek along Laguna Woods.
Oh,
it's really great.
Nice.
We only come at night. Which is fine because I don't know if you notice this or not, but there's hardly anybody there after 7 o'clock.
Right.
There's some TV show that's a guessing game, I guess, and everybody goes to watch it because suddenly it's really very quiet.
Really?
And also people drive
right for
slow.
shy reindeer.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
But what's really good is people drive slow, so we don't have to worry about being hit by cars or any of that stuff. But we love Aliso Creek. It's beautiful, and we spend quite a few days there each year.
Now, you've been involved in Christmas for quite a few years.
A long time.
What are some of your favorite memories of Christmas?
Well, I'll tell you my favorite memory.
Yeah.
Of course, everyone knows, and they probably assume that it's when I saved Christmas because of my red nose. And that was an amazing night, but what was my favorite memory was the day after Christmas.
Day after Christmas?
The day after Christmas.
I would think you're just exhausted and sleeping in.
That's true, but what I noticed was people treated me differently the day after Christmas than the day before when that happened.
I remember the song. You became kind of a little hero.
Yeah, because up to that point, everybody was making fun of me, you know, calling me neon nose and clowny nose.
People
and all
can be people and reindeer apparently can be so cruel.
Oh, those yearlings are awful. They're just terrible.
Yeah,
so it was pretty bad up to that point because, you know, I would walk around and my nose would glow and people would make fun of me. And I want to give you a direct experience of what that would be like. I'm going to put this little hat on your head.
Okay.
Okay, now, right now, Tom, you look adorable. It's the holiday season.
I think I look silly.
You do, you look adorable. But imagine the reaction people would have if you were walking around in the month of August.
Oh.
They would make fun of you, right?
Well, I imagine they would, or pretend they don't see me, maybe.
Right, or they think, oh, there's that crazy man Tom, right? So for you, you can understand that people would be looking at you all the time.
Yeah.
And
I think I might just stay in.
yeah, you might stay in.
Yeah.
But the day after Christmas, when I saved Christmas, suddenly I was this hero. But what it did was it helped people to accept me for my difference, you know, my strangeness. Because, you know, you never know when that nose is going to glow, and, you know, it'd be really embarrassing at times. But after Christmas, everyone just accepted it, and it was really great.
Wow. So based on your own experience, what's your hope for the folks here in Laguna Woods Village for the holidays?
I hope they have some really great experiences, but I hope you will tell me one of your favorite experiences.
Oh, well, yes, I will be happy to do that. One of my best Christmas memories was when my son was about 4 years old, and I was working in a small radio station, and we were really, really poor. And we, a little before Christmas, had thought we had a few extra dollars in the checking account, so we generously sent Christmas gifts to a lot of friends and family. And then just about the 1st of December, I realized, oh, I'd made a mistake in my checking account, and we were broke.
Broke.
And so I told my 4-year-old son, because I knew he'd be so disappointed, so look forward to Christmas. And I told him, well, not going to be very much under the tree this year. Grandma and Grandpa will send some things, but we can't afford hardly anything.
Oh.
So he won't be, hope he won't be too disappointed. He said, oh, that's all right. He would just pray and God would send us some money. Well, the faith of a child, apparently he prayed, because we got a very generous Christmas gift from one of my wife's uncles who had never sent us a dime before and never did again. But we got $175, which back in the 60s was a fortune. And we had a very good Christmas.
Wow, that's a good story. Your little 4-year-old saved Christmas.
Yeah, the faith of children.
The faith of children.
That's amazing.
So true.
And on today's show, we're actually going to feature a number of memories of various people that they have about Christmas. So let's get on with the show. Well, by the miracle of television, we have replaced Rudolph with a new guest. This is Gloria DeSimone. And Gloria, you have a Christmas story for us, right?
Yes, I do. Thank you for having me here. And it's an old Christmas story. It's probably been around, let's see, it was maybe 1969.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm Italian, and we celebrate Christmas with food. I mean, that's how we do it.
Yes.
And our hand, yeah, we just and we're loud. So I had to go shopping on Christmas Eve, right?
Oh my gosh.
Usually traffic on Christmas Eve stops dead around 6 o'clock. So I had to get there before that, because people started to come over.
Mm-hmm.
So I went into one of what they called ShopRite. This was back east in New Jersey.
remember
on a
ShopRite.
street, if anybody's from New Jersey, called the White Horse Pike, which would be like El Toro Boulevard during rush hour.
Okay.
So I had all the groceries in the back, and I had my hair fixed, and I had it pulled back, and then I had clipped on the back of my head was one of those like little ponytails you buy at the swap meets, you know. And when I'm trying to get out of the traffic because it was so crowded, it was Christmas Eve. And the traffic's coming this way, and it's coming that way. And you know, oh my God, how am I going to get out of here? And the people behind me are beeping. I don't know why they're beeping. They can see all the traffic. There's no traffic light. How am I going to do this? And they got on my nerves so much. I figured, okay, let me try and, I'll try and get out. And I pulled out. And when I did, all I heard was crash.
Was that
boom,
you?
Bang. And I went, oh, like you could feel it. And I thought, oh no, and I turned around and I looked, and it was a paddy wagon. I said, oh no, well, I had to have the police hit me.
Yeah.
And I thought, God, now oh man. And I was just like, oh, I'm done, that's it, kill me now. So,
Christmas in jail.
Christmas in jail, that's gonna feed me the meal, Yeah. So I sat there and waited for the officer to come over to the window, and of course he did. I had to pretend like, I said, I better pretend I got hurt, so they're kind of easy on me. So I said, oh my God, I think, are you okay? He says, yeah, I think I'm gonna be all right. Oh, because in the meantime, he's talking to me, another officer comes out, and the two guys that were in the paddy wagon somehow went out the door, even though they were cuffed. They escaped.
You're not making this up, right?
No. And I looked over and I thought, now remember, this was years ago in a small town, okay?
Yeah.
And I looked like Mayberry, right? And I looked at these two guys running because everything stopped now on the pike, and they're running. Went, oh my God, now what do I do? And so the cops look over at the guys. They left. They're on the whatever they're on those days, right? And they went to try and go like catch these guys, and I'm sitting there holding traffic up. Groceries all over the back for the crash, right?
Wow,
The stuff was all around, all over the cookies, the ice cream, everything that I was gonna have, the pasta, And I thought, now what do I do? And then I'm sitting there, and then they got the guys, and then they came back to me and they said, okay, we're going to let you go, because they were overwhelmed now. And I went, thank God, okay? I hit the right guy, right? And they ran off. So they let me go. They didn't even write me a ticket.
Wow.
We showed them my license
Christmas
and all that.
present.
They had all the different,
Yeah.
And I come home and I'm like, I was maybe like 19, 20 years old. I don't know, I was young, Yeah. And so I come back to my house, and I have to prepare everything for not just Christmas Eve, but Christmas Day.
Right.
So I'm trying to do the best I can. I'm trying to put the groceries together to get my ponytail was on the mirror, I had to get that off because that flew off my head. And then I go home and I do the best I can. And then I said to my husband, well, the kids think Santa Claus is coming, so we got to leave out cookies. We got to put the cookies out. So I get these cookies and little stars and trees and stuff, and put them on the plate, and the kids were all happy about that with little matching pajamas. They went to bed, and then like the next morning, the cookies are going, oh yeah, they're all happy and everything. And then later on, my husband says, yeah, those cookies are really good. Oh, you ate the cookies? Yeah, they were. And I pick up the package, and they were dog biscuits. I bought Christmas dog biscuits, and he ate the dog biscuits.
And he thought they were good.
To this day, He does not know. He ate dog
We'll hope he's not watching
biscuits.
this show.
In the meantime, we had
you're
a
in big
nice
trouble.
Christmas. We cooked. I did everything good.
very
But that
good.
was something to remember, you know?
Very much something to remember. Thank you, Gloria.
Oh, you're
Thanks
welcome.
for sharing your great story. with us.
Okay. Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you, and to you.
Thank you.
Well, we have another Christmas story, this time from Lucy Parker. Lucy's a longtime former president and been very involved in the video club. And of course, your story would have to do with a video camera, I think.
Well, it does. I indulged myself a few years ago when GoPro was fairly new, and I wanted one. And I got myself one on a special at Thanksgiving.
You bought yourself a Christmas
I bought myself
present.
an early Christmas present. And then I had to think, this is an action camera with a super wide angle. What am I going to do with it? I honestly, I don't skydive very often, and
No.
I don't even surf. So, you know, but there's a lesson in this. I thought, what am I going to do? I decided, you know, like many families, now that I'm in the grandparent generation, I don't host Christmas anymore. I go to my daughter's, and she has there's 3 children in that family, and they, when I get there, there's this sea of presents. You can hardly get in the door, and everybody sits around Christmas morning, of course, and traditionally one of the children is Santa and hands out the presents. I did that with her when she was a child. So I thought, I will attach this GoPro. It came with a headband. I will attach this GoPro to my grandson's head and let him just see what it looks like opening these presents. So that's what I did. London, his name is London, was Santa, and so I called my little film GoPro Santa, and it was just fun, family memory. I suppose.
We'll take a look at some of the video that you shot that way while we're talking.
Good, yeah. I could see myself occasionally in the mirror watching this because I took a few stills while I was doing this. But I think if there's a serious lesson in this.
This one, guys, this one's for the Meredith kids from Santa.
Don't be afraid of a GoPro, even if you're not a sports person.
Yeah.
You know, an avid skydiver or whatever.
What could this be?
I've seen them very effectively attached to a dog or to a skateboard or a child's stroller.
Or even a grandchild passing out Christmas
That's
presents.
right. That's right. Yeah.
Lucy, thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you. Happy Christmas. Merry New Year.
And to you. Well, this time we take you all the way to Australia. Well, we take you to a man who came all the way from Australia, and this is John Kelly. And John, Christmas is in the middle of summer in Australia. It must be very different.
Yes, it is. It's primarily a time of big barbecues, holidays. The school year also ends in December as well. So we get a 2-month break over Christmas if you're a student.
Wow.
And when I was a young boy growing up, you could never see Santa Claus or you would not get a present.
Oh, even in the stores and places like that? Or?
That was okay because we knew he was a fake Santa. But on the
Couldn't
night...
see the real Santa Claus.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Christmas Eve, if you heard any strange noises around the house, you wouldn't go down in the parlor and look what's happening because you might see Santa and you wouldn't get any presents.
Oh.
And my earliest memories, because we lived in a 2-story old quickie house, was every Christmas Eve trying to go to sleep, and of course being a young boy, being wildly excited about Christmas.
Yep.
And I would hear all this creaking going on downstairs, and I would think, no, don't move, don't go out, don't look, because I won't get any presents.
Until one year?
Until one year, every year, same as over here, you lay out cookies for Santa, a soda for Santa.
A soda?
Yep. And when I was 5 or 6, I started to realize it's not physically possible for a man to fly all around the planet and drink 1 trillion sodas and 1 trillion cookies and be human. So I thought, there's something going on here.
Logic was setting in.
Logic was setting in, and then one year when I think I was 6, I heard this creak downstairs, and I got out of my bed. and I walked down the hallway, and I was about...
Spoiler alert, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, exactly. I was about to make that last left-hand turn into the parlour, and I panicked. I panicked and ran back to bed, got up in the morning, got the presents were there, the cookies and soda were gone, but I did realise that the cookies and the soda were my mother's favourites.
Oh.
So that's when I put it together, and I realised that Santa was my mother.
Oh.
Yeah, and that was okay with me. I was still getting the presents.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of times my grandkids, I'm sure, pretended to believe in Santa Claus long after they stopped believing it because they were afraid the Grady train would stop if they knew the truth. But.
And probably the last thing about Santa in Australia is he always wears shorts. Because it's the middle, you know. So you need a Santa that has an ample belly and a good set of legs.
Very good.
Yeah,
Thank you, Joan.
Thank you.
More Christmas stories coming. Our Holiday in the Woods show continues, and now we have Steve Carmen. And Steve has a story of a Christmas miracle on the way to Mars.
Indeed, this
And
happened.
it seems really improbable, Steve, but you were not actually yourself on the way to Mars, right?
No, that's true. I was relocating my family from Denver to Florida for the launch of the Viking spacecraft, which did go to Mars.
Okay.
And so we were hoping to get to Orlando by Christmas Eve so that we could spend the day at Christmas at Disney World. But on the eve of Christmas Eve,
On the 23rd.
The 24th, we broke down.
Oh, okay, on Christmas Eve you broke out.
Christmas Eve,
no.
our car, as I pulled off the freeway in Gulfport, Mississippi, the engine didn't run right. So I pulled into a service station, and a young man there diagnosed the problem as a carburetor was blown. And he said, you know, it's Christmas Eve. We can't get parts until the day after Christmas at best. So he suggested we check into a nearby hotel, which we did.
Not what you had in mind for Christmas Eve.
Not at all.
And how was that? Did you get
Well-
to celebrate Christmas Eve? And
Well, sort of. We had a carload of clothes and a few gifts, but we didn't have, you know, the usual holiday tree and everything. So we checked into the hotel, only to find out we were the second room occupied in the hotel. So they didn't have anybody in the kitchen.
oh dear.
So they made us some sandwiches for dinner. Back in the room, Joan suggested we read the Christmas story out of the Bible. There was a Gideon Bible there. We opened it up to the page and began reading when there came a knock at the door.
Oh.
And so I answered the door, and it was the young man from the service station, and he announced, "Your car's ready."
Really?
That's what I said. How did that happen?
Yeah.
And he explained that his father, when he came back to close up the service station, heard the story of our blown carburetor, and he said, you know, I think I've got one of those in the junk pile.
Just happened to have.
Just happened to have one similar. It actually wasn't a match, but it was similar. So he tried it out. He mounted this old carburetor on our Pontiac, and the only problem was the linkage to the gas pedal was on the wrong side of the carburetor.
Okay.
So he took a coat hanger wire and bent it to the shape necessary to hook up with the proper gas pedal, and the car ran.
Okay.
It actually sounded pretty good.
So you were able to move on and.
Well, that meant, yeah, the next morning we could pull out and go over to Orlando as planned.
Okay.
And so that was the first part of the miracle, having parts or making parts that would get the car running again.
Right.
The second part of the miracle was when I asked the service station owner what I owed him for this service. He said, "Merry Christmas." And we didn't have to pay anything. Now that's a miracle when a service station owner will not charge you for anything. So that was our miracle on the way to Mars.
On the way to Mars. Thank you, Steve.
Sure,
Appreciate
my
it.
pleasure.
Our holiday program continues, and now we have Steve Saveloff. And Steve, we're really delighted to have you. You're going to share with us a little bit about the Jewish holiday, Hanukkah.
Syrians, the king of Syria wanted the temples to be destroyed and all the Bibles and so on, so the Jews didn't have anything that they could rely on to practice their religion. And so the Jews had a army called the Maccabees. And it was headed by Judas Maccabee. And apparently, according to the story, that the Maccabees actually beat the Syrians back. And then it was Friday, and they needed to have some candles lit. So they found in one of the destroyed temples a vial of oil for the Friday night services. And what it's called the miracle of light, Hanukkah.
I remember there was something about 8 days
Right.
the oil burned, and it should have only burned for 1 day, or?
Yes, they only thought it was going to burn for 1 day, but it burned for 8 days, yes.
And what's this device that you brought here?
This is called a menorah.
Okay.
This is, we light a candle each night. There's 8 here, but this extra one over here is called the shamus. He's the big shot.
Okay.
So we light this one, and then on the first night you light this one, and then second night you light 2, and then third night you light 3, and so on. And Hanukkah is a time of celebration of, as most Jewish holidays are, of religious freedom. And so the kids get a present each night.
Each night?
Each night.
Okay, and the Christian kids thought they were well off with just one night.
One night, right.
Present. So
Right.
8 nights of presents.
8 nights of
Pays
presents.
to be Jewish, huh?
Pardon?
It pays to be Jewish in this case.
Yeah, if you're really into that.
And you have a little top-like thing. What's that about?
Well, this is part of a game that we play each night of Hanukkah, and we spin it.
Okay.
And on each side, there's 4 sides, there's a Hebrew letter. And so if it's on top like this is Gimel. That means you have to give one of your what they call those chocolate coins. They're wrapped in gold. And, and then on another side, Nun. That's another Hebrew letter where you don't get anything, but you don't have to give anything.
Okay, so it's a pass.
Yes. And then Shin is means you have to put 1 in.
Ah, okay.
And Hey means that you get half.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And so here's a way to teach the kids 4 Hebrew letters at least.
Yes, right, right.
Well, Steve, thanks for coming in and sharing with us some of your family tradition and religious background.
It was my
Appreciate
pleasure.
that. Our special holiday version of Laguna Woods Stories continues, and this time we have Joan Carmen with us. And Joan, you were born into a Jewish family.
I was.
And so tell us what the holidays meant to you as a Jewish girl.
Well, I love the holidays,
Yeah.
and especially Hanukkah. It was always a festive time. We were convinced by our parents that we were luckier than the people who celebrated Christmas because they only had 1 day.
Okay.
And we had 8.
You had 8.
But I watched my friends get wonderful gifts on their 1 day. And I'd get 8 days of a pair of socks,
Oh, I see.
a book. So it wasn't that special, but I loved the lights and the music and all the festivities of Christmas always fascinated me. But Hanukkah was just a really wonderful time in our family. But I remember one year my mother came home with a small blue Christmas tree.
Oh, okay,
And,
blue.
yeah,
for
blue.
Hanukkah.
And I asked her why she brought a Christmas tree home. She said, "This is not a Christmas tree, this is a Hanukkah bush."
Hanukkah bush.
And it went in the living room. However, I noticed whenever my grandmother would come to visit, the Hanukkah bush would end up in the closet. So I think she felt she was getting away with something.
So your grandmother was kind of the real keeper of the Jewish tradition.
Oh, yeah, Grandma would have had a fit if there was a Christmas tree in our home.
Okay.
So, but then when I met Steve
At college?
at college in Berkeley, he wasn't Jewish.
Ah.
And so when the holidays came around, I thought, this is really great. I get to do Hanukkah and Christmas.
And Christmas, okay.
So I was thrilled to buy our first Christmas tree and the lights and the ornaments. And so I could do both. And I realized very quickly as later in life I became a Christian, but kept my Jewish roots. I consider myself a Jew who believes
And
in
you
Christ. I am. And I find that both Hanukkah and Christmas are both celebrations of a miracle.
Right.
Hanukkah, the miracle of the fact that God provided 1 day's worth of oil and had it last for 8 days until they could bring in more oil to the temple. And then Christmas, God's provision of Jesus, who is called the light of the world. So I feel very blessed to celebrate both.
Both. So in your family, when your kids were growing up, did you celebrate both
We did.
traditions?
We celebrated both once we became Christians. We celebrated both, and they loved that. You know, I mean, it.
So they had the benefits of 8 days of presents
8 days,
plus 1 day.
Right. So yeah, it's a wonderful time. I just really appreciate this time of the year, and just these two holidays that remind us of how much God loves us. It's such a wonderful time of the year. Very festive and very important.
Thank you, Joan, so much for sharing with us.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us on this special holiday version of Laguna Woods Stories.